Hello Mzansi, you're listening to Farmers Inside Track, proudly brought to you by Food for Mzansi. Officially, this is the world's best podcast for 2024, as awarded by One IFRA, the global organization for the world's press. I'm your host, Duncan Masiwa, and welcome to this episode powered by PayCentral. Now, in this episode, we sit down with Veenash Parbhoo, co-founder of PayCentral and marketing manager Leandri Matthews, to explore how fintech solutions are transforming agricultural payment systems. We dive into the challenges farmers face with cash handling, the risks it poses, and how PayCentral's platform provides a secure, cashless alternative. Veenash shares insights into the evolution of PayCentral since its founding in 2016 and how its reloadable Mastercard cards are empowering seasonal workers and improving financial security for farms. Veenash, Leandri, welcome to Farmers Inside Track.
Thank you, Duncan. Thanks for having us.
Lovely having you with us. Now, I want to get straight into it. I understand that PayCentral has grown into a trusted fintech company since its founding in 2016. Maybe set the scene for us by explaining what led to the creation of PayCentral, Veenash.
PayCentral came to life from my passion for entrepreneurship and the desire to build something scalable that could make an impact. A childhood friend of mine, who is actually now my business partner, introduced me to the world of payments, which is a really exciting and diverse world. I think that was what I was actually looking for. In terms of PayCentral, I wouldn't say it was like a grand business plan, more an opportunity that presented itself, and more like with anything that I've done in the past, it's giving it your 120% and seeing if it works, So that was the approach as well with PayCentral. However, I've always been driven by the idea of creating solutions that can sort of change the way people do business. When I looked at founding PayCentral, it was unlike sort of anything that I've worked on before, because the potential to scale this business is always what I've been intrigued by. It's something that could scale and make a difference. And when I found myself in this position of trying to explore this, payments is something that really ticked those boxes. Like many startups, it became an experiment. It was a trial and error thing. Also in this space, credibility is so important. Credibility of holding someone's money, using the platform to disperse. It took a long while to sort of gain that credibility and gain the trust of customers that we're dealing with. So PayCentral was born out of a simple desire to solve problems for businesses that were still handling cash in essence and taking away the risk and making sure that payments were done in efficient and less risky ways.
Leandri, Veenash talks about credibility. If there's anyone that I've learned in a company that knows how to sell the credibility of an organization, it's the marketing manager. And that's, of course, where you come in. Tell us, what's the big idea? What challenges do PayCentral solve for businesses?
There's quite a couple of challenges that we help solve for businesses. One of the biggest challenges, I would say, is we solve reducing payment delays and errors by offering instant and accurate payments. Reporting, I would say, is also another big pain point that we see in businesses. Our offering helps take a huge administrative burden off the shoulders of finance and HR teams by providing real-time reporting for them. So obviously this minimizes also time spent manually tracking expenses, petty cash, or any type of those types of processes that they are doing. And especially now in the agri space, businesses need to pay potentially unbanked workers. So we offer a safe and efficient solution, ensuring everyone gets paid without the hassle and the risk of dealing with cash. That is a big issue that we see for our businesses. It also helps maintain expense oversight, so you can be sure that funds are being spent appropriately, so reducing that risk of mismanagement. If I look at the platform, we now have a digital trail of payments that the businesses now can see. So this makes it easier to keep accurate records by simplifying compliance with regulations. We also help prevent fraud, whereby businesses can implement spending controls more effectively, view transaction reports, and for example, if a card is lost or stolen, they can easily just quickly deactivate it straight on either the portal or the app, just to prevent theft or misuse of the funds that are still on the actual card. And lastly, I would say another challenge is that we also make it easy to manage budgets. So by setting spending limits, the business can now avoid overspending or budget overruns. They have improved cash flow management and standardized payment processes. So all of this can be done on one platform, which is easy to use, just simplifying a lot of their internal ways of doing things.
It sounds absolutely fantastic. And it, of course, brings me to my next question, Veenash. Farms often face the challenge of handling cash payments, leading to risks such as theft and management. Leandri also mentioned that. How has PayCentral's platform directly reduced these risks, and what have been the long-term benefits for farming businesses in terms of financial security?
So yeah, that's a big issue, I guess, with South Africa and the crime that we have in our country, unfortunately. And you always hear on the news that there's been farm murders or farm robberies, those kind of things that prop up and obviously stems fear into everyone's sort of minds and heart, and especially the farming community. So for a long time, and still continues, I think a lot of farmers still draw cash from the banks in order to pay their workers because it's twofold. I guess that's just the way things were done in the past and continue to be done from generation to generation. The ease of getting cash, paying workers in cash, and they're able to transact in their environment. So I think where we saw a real problem that we want to solve is, obviously we solve for plenty of businesses, but the farming sector, the agri sector, this is a major thing because of their locations, the rural areas, they're outlying. It's not easy to get to these farms. So what happens is it's twofold. Like we say, we deal with the farm owners, and then it also filters into the card holders who are the farm workers. So basically what happens here, in a traditional sense, a farmer would go into town, maybe it's long distances, maybe it's around the corner, but generally it does take a long time to go to the nearest town. They would draw cash, they would come back to the farm. Farm workers would be ready to get paid, whether they permanent workers or seasonal workers. They accept money and then they're able to transact. However, that whole chain has a lot of risk. Risk to the farm owner, risk to the farm worker who then, has to spend cash or carry cash around when spending money. There's risks along the way. So what we did was we introduced this platform to the agri sector to make sure that we're able to eliminate that risk as much as possible. So in essence, what happens is now using our platform, farmers can EFT and fund the platform with money. Cards can be issued to the farm workers. These are Mastercard or Visa debit cards that can be issued to the workers who are allocated the cards to their limited FICA. So that also includes the unbanked market, foreign nationals, which is a large part of the workforce. You're able to make sure that you can pay money onto these cards. So farmers could easily just log onto their computers. They've allocated cards to individuals, and now they can make payments instantly onto these cards. In essence, card holder or the farm worker, it's a sense of financial inclusion. So they're receiving money. It's not a bank account. It's a storage mechanism that acts like a debit card. And you receive your money, then you can freely spend money where you want to spend it at your convenience, instead of carrying a wad of cash around with you, which is like either your weekly wage or your monthly wage. So putting that at risk with cash, carrying it back to your homes, on the way there, you could be mugged or held up or whatever the case may be. And that's your entire month's wages gone. And that's a pain point for both farmer and worker, because at the end of the day, the farmer is going to have to assist the farm worker to help them get back up to speed and lend them the money. And that becomes like a debt issue now, because now the farm worker has lost their money. Now they always trying to get out of that situation of debt. Whereas with the card, these risks are removed, so that if someone does steal the card, then you can easily stop the card. It's PIN protected. So it does also remove that risk of just immediately losing that money. There's always a chance of stopping the card and reversing funds from the card to the portal, which also creates barriers for incidences which are untoward, So I think that's the main thing. So from that aspect, you're reducing the risk. And from the other aspect, it's also saving time, because the time taken to collect cash, come to the farm, you're losing time at either it's productivity time or even family time, because in this day and age, you want to make things as seamless and as efficient as possible. So from a traditional industry, which is the agricultural industry, like I said, you're so set in your ways. Change is a big thing, but changing to make your life easier is also a massive improvement. So you get more time to spend thinking about your business, how to grow it, or you get more time to spend with your family because you've saved time running around trying to do things that can be done at the click of a button. Again, the biggest thing is risk, right? So you're putting your life in danger for something, this is your livelihood, but you're putting everyone's lives in danger if you carry cash around. And that, unfortunately, is the country we live in. But again, you can eradicate a lot of the criminal aspects if you just remove cash from the system.
Absolutely, Veenash. And the agricultural sector is also fast paced and farmers can't afford to make mistakes. And one thing that I love also about PayCentral is the self-service card management platform that offers real-time control over payroll operations. Leandri, this is where you come in. How does this real-time management benefit farm managers, particularly during critical periods like harvest seasons, when payment accuracy and timelines are so important?
We all know harvest seasons are definitely such a busy and stressful time for farm managers. So making sure that workers actually get paid accurately and on time is critical. So any type of delays in paying workers or suppliers can actually disrupt the entire operation. So where our platform comes into play here, our self-service card management platform, the farm managers actually have complete control over these payments and at any time. So they can just make adjustments instantly. So imagine a scenario where you need to quickly bring on more workers or make last minute purchases during the harvest. So if your PayCentral profile is loaded with funds, you can issue payments immediately. So without waiting for any traditional banking systems to process them, which is a massive, massive benefit. And again, touching on what Veenash said, saving time, right? So this ensures that workers are compensated on time and that the supplies you need can be secured right away. So yeah, the ability to make changes on the go means the businesses are not tied down by any rigid processes. They've got the flexibility to adapt as needed during these crucial periods. And ultimately, it just keeps operation running efficiently for them.
Just to add on to what Lee's saying is that from a reporting aspect, from a control aspect, I think that self-service makes such a big difference, right? We deal with loads of companies across the country, and in the agricultural sector in particular, like I said, change is sometimes quicker to accept, and some people are still stuck in their old method of doing things. What we've tried to do with this portal as well is to make it as user-friendly and as simple as possible so that the older generations could be able to use it, as well as the generations that are coming up, the new generation of farmers that are coming up will obviously more easily adopt to this type of portal. What it does as well, everything is self-service, from requesting quotes for ordering cards online to invoicing. All of those aspects are done online without dependency on us as PayCentral. The only time that they'll contact us is if something is wrong with the system. But again, it makes it easy for them to manage. And we'll also touch on it a bit later in terms of the unbanked market, in terms of how that also solves the problem for allocation.
User-friendly and as simple as possible. Leandri, given that PayCentral offers financial tracking and reporting tools, how have farms utilized these features to improve financial transparency?
So traditionally, these expenses are quite hard to track, and managing them with cash or outdated systems often leads to overspending or poor financial visibility. So I would say where PayCentral's financial tracking comes in, the reporting tools actually would empower the farms to now have a much clearer picture of where exactly these funds are going. So they get real-time insights into the spending. Farm managers can immediately see if the money is being used efficiently or if there's any wasteful spending. So helping them to really manage costs more effectively. For instance, farms can now track their petty cash usage down to the last transaction, and they can quickly identify patterns in emergency purchases. So this data, for example, gives them now the ability to make adjustments as they go to optimize their budgeting and ensure that funds are actually being allocated to the right areas. So having this level of financial transparency, the farms are actually now better equipped to cut down on these unnecessary expenses and to manage their resources more effectively and efficiently and make smarter financial decisions overall.
Definitely. Veenash, at Food from Zanzi, we love a good success story. Could you share some of the success stories or, I suppose, measurable impacts that you've observed among agricultural enterprises that use your solutions, especially for seasonal labor?
Yeah, that's a big thing. Without mentioning names, I would sort of just draw to the use cases that we've had. Like, for instance, one of our fruit farming clients in the Western Cape that's big basically has been able to go entirely cashless. So they're no longer sitting with cash on their farms. The reason why they had to have cash in this instance is a lot of their workers or workforce are foreign nationals. There's a difficulty with foreign nationals. Yes, they have their name, surname, passport. That's all you need, or even an asylum sort of document to be able to be FICA'd on our system from a banking regulation perspective. What it does is they would draw cash to pay these seasonal workers because of the fact is that they either were unable to open up a bank account or they didn't trust bank accounts, right? So those are the two things. Like, I think that's just the general take. What happens here is that by using our system, they were able to obviously disperse funds onto cards instead of paying cash. So seasonal workers, they come 500-600 at a time. You're dealing with a large number of workers, and previously they would actually go and draw cash and pay these workers. And now they've removed that entirely from the system, and they're able to disperse, making it inclusive for the foreign national or the unbanked, even if it's local or foreign, doesn't really matter. It's unbanked that you're talking about. It's a big difference for both the owner as well as the farm worker. Also, in terms of another farm that we had here in the Northwest, is they used to pay using traditional bank cards, right? So again, just bringing the banking system. Obviously, we tied into the banking system without a doubt. We have rails to the banks, but we don't have that red tape that banks have when, dealing with customers. So basically, what happens is in their previous sort of solution, they would also pay onto cards. However, the cost of using those cards was just very high. So from a cost perspective, we've saved businesses quite a lot of money, farmers quite a lot of money in that sense too. And also just the convenience, like we're saying, with our card solution, you're able to reset PINs, reverse funds, block cards, all on our platform and also through our app and Mobi app and our website, which makes it easily accessible for the card holder. Whereas with traditional banking environments, one of the banks forces you to sort of, if you lose a PIN, you've got to go to the branch, you've got to replace that card instead of just resetting a PIN as we would do. So there's the convenience of, these features that we implement to make it easier for both farm worker as well as farm owner to manage. So those are important use cases. And then also what's really cool about the system is that you can actually use it for incentives, right? And this is what we do on a day-to-day basis with large corporates. They use our platform to disperse incentives. Because it's instant gratification, you can really drive farm worker behavior in the sense that, look, if you're working overtime or if you need to work on the weekends, and obviously there's no incentive to work for that period of time unless, it's great if you work on the weekend and you've earned your overtime, but you want to get paid immediately and not wait till the end of the month to see that value. So here you're able to distribute this to the workers, and if they're working overtime and if they've reached a certain target or whatever the case may be, you are able to log onto your computer, instantly load money onto the cards, and that drives sort of behavior for the next time the guys want to work overtime. They're like, listen, I'm short of cash, but I know that if I work overtime, I don't have to wait till the end of month for me to get paid. So this is a really good system. And then tracking it is very important because incentives without tracking is non-existent. It becomes a wasteful exercise. So having the ability to track the funds that you've dispersed makes a massive difference to any business, let alone farmers.
Wow, Veenash, so far I'm hearing a lot of fantastic benefits for both the farmer and the agricultural worker. But many farming enterprises operate in remote or rural areas where there's limitations when it comes to technological infrastructure. Leandri, what support or training even does PayCentral provide to ensure seamless adoption of your card-based solutions?
So we know that businesses in rural areas need solutions that are not only reliable, but actually easy to use. So we've made it our mission to ensure that adopting PayCentral's platform is actually seamless, even for those who are less tech savvy. We've made it a priority to offer extensive support. So like Veenash mentioned, even though it is self-service and do it yourself if clients do prefer that, but we do offer a dedicated support team for both our clients and their card holders. So when it comes to the onboarding process, we give hands-on training for businesses that are adopting to our card solutions. We want to make sure that we don't just provide the tools, we give them guidance through every step to ensure their team is confident in using these tools. The onboarding process is quite seamless. It's intuitive and can be completed at the business's own pace and step by step. When it comes to our card platform, it's designed to be simple and practical for users. So even if you have limited exposure to technology, you'll be able to easily manage your cards and payments. And then we offer one-on-one virtual training sessions, like I mentioned, and with video tutorials. So we really want to help and make sure the transition to our systems is as smooth as possible. From there, once the people are on board, like I mentioned, we actually have our customer relations team that's readily available to assist whenever needed. So whether it's troubleshooting issues with the portal or providing guidance on how to use its features or to optimize operations, our team is here and committed to resolving any difficulties and ensuring the experience with PayCentral is seamless.
Veenash, no day in agriculture looks the same. And of course, with that, agricultural operations often have fluctuating workforce needs with different payroll demands throughout the seasons. How does PayCentral's platform adapt to these variations, and what customizations are available to support the specific payroll cycles of an agricultural enterprise?
That's an interesting one. I think what's lovely is, as Lee was talking about, the adaptability and flexibility of our system. So I guess as a company, we're very agile. We're a small company, but we do big things, right? So the thing is, what happens here is that we have a dev team. Just to give you an idea, we have a development team that listens to our customers. So, if we feel that as the agricultural industry grows for us and we hear what their pain points are and what the farmers are struggling with, we try and create solutions that would adapt to that need, and that's an important aspect of our business. A big thing that we do is batch loading. That's been something that has been requested for a long time. We introduced batch loading to make sure that, like in this instance for seasonal workers, there's high numbers in those seasons, a lot of the fruit farmers use it during the seasonal time. I think that you want to be able to have the ability to allocate a card and load cards as quickly as possible. That's one thing. So what we've done is created a batch system where you're able to load at least 250 cards at one time, and that takes 10 minutes. So, from an ease of processing, we have that capability. We have the ability to allocate cards at 100 cards at a time. So you don't have to individually enter details. You are able to populate a spreadsheet, upload that spreadsheet, and in the back end, it allocates the cards to individuals without having to go through each process or each card one at a time. The fact that these cards are also reloadable makes a big difference, right? So remember, it's not just a once-off usage, but you can, for seasonal workers, sometimes you're only going to pay them once, possibly, right? But if they do return the next season, the fact is the cards are reloadable, they're allocated to an individual, and the next time a seasonal worker comes onto the property, you're able to easily pay them again. The cards expire, they have a 3 to 5 year expiry range depending on the card you take. But again, that makes it easier for them to manage returning seasonal workers. Again, it's how you want to use it in your business. Also, from an expense management perspective, it's not just for salaries. So from an expense management perspective, if guys are driving around or they need petty cash to go purchase things from the hardware store, from the Afgris of this world, you are able to utilize funds on this card to do purchases for your livestock, your equipment, your supplies, paying suppliers as well. It's a fully fledged expense management tool as well as a disbursement tool for salaries, wages.
Easy and convenient. Now, of course, not every agricultural enterprise or business is the same. And with that, often it means that each enterprise has different financial needs, from managing seasonal worker payments to tracking petty cash for day-to-day purchases. Leandri, how customizable is PayCentral's offering, and what kind of feedback, perhaps from the agricultural sector, has also shaped the development of your products?
So our payment solutions, like I mentioned, are really designed to be simple, but also, flexible. I think giving businesses plenty of options to meet their financial needs is very important. Whether it's managing, like I mentioned, petty cash, or paying unbanked workers, or handling emergency expenses, or whatever the case may be, our cards can very easily adapt to the different situations. We do understand that every farm has its own unique set of challenges, and that's why we're continuously innovating based on the feedback from our clients. We're continuously gathering insights from agricultural sector to better understand the evolving needs, to ensuring our products remain tailored and effective as financial requirements grow and change. So yeah, one significant challenge we've identified is educating farm workers about alternatives to cash. Many workers face either language or knowledge barriers, which can limit their ability to use card products effectively. Like Veenash mentioned, there might be a trust issue in terms of traditional use. But to address this, we're focusing on enhancing financial inclusion by really redesigning our communication strategies and teaching cardholders how to use our products responsibly and securely. By breaking down these barriers, we hopefully aim to help workers make smarter and more calculated financial decisions while minimizing unnecessary expenses. From simplifying user interfaces, making it easier for people to work on our app and our platform, to creating multilingual educational resources, we continue to evolve our solutions on real-world experiences of our clients and their employees.
Veenash, Leandri at least points to a company where there's a culture of innovation when it comes to PayCentral. Of course, as farms adopt cashless payment methods, how do you foresee PayCentral evolving to meet future needs, particularly as farms digitize their operations even further?
That's where we're heading, right? I think we can't keep believing that even physical cards will be the way to pay in 10 years' time, with the introduction of crypto and all those other digital payment mechanisms. We've got to evolve. So as we evolve, we can introduce more features to our clientele. So from a farming perspective, it's no different. A farm is a business. And I think it's a different kind of business, but it also uses new technology, the irrigation system. So we can't really just stereotype and say, hey, the farmers are stuck in the past. I think when you look at the agricultural exhibitions that you go to and you realize, wow, there's so much of advancement in agriculture that doesn't get recognized, that we don't see. I think it's more a case that if you're in the industry, then you'll know. But the fact is that there's so much innovation, there's so much evolution happening in all spaces, and in financial technology, it's no different. I think that what we need to do, like Lee was mentioning, is that obviously listen to our clientele and understand what their requirements are. We're able to customize solutions based on what they need. For example, just to give you an example of what we've done in our space, we do filtered cards. That means that we can lock the card down to be only utilized in certain terminals. Like we've just launched a fuel card, which filters the payment. So as a cardholder, you're only able to purchase fuel and nothing else, nothing from the convenience stores, nothing else, because of the need to track funds and for the need for funds to be used in the correct space. We're able to develop these filters. So if there's a need from a farming perspective, say, listen, we only want our cards to be used in these terminals, we're able to look at that option and develop something that will appeal to that sector as a whole. So what we also have introduced is like an employee incentive program, which is more like a discount vouchering program. But this is tailored to the, I wouldn't say lower LSM, but to the LSM that needs it the most, where you are able to, we've created an app that's tied into one of our card products that basically allows you to get discounts from day-to-day goods from grocery stores, whether it's your oil or your milk or your bread or your eggs, there's discount vouchering so that where we can't save you from a disbursement perspective, we can save you from a product purchasing perspective and saving you money on a grocery basket that makes a difference to individuals at the end of the month. So adding benefits to our payment program is going to be a big focus of ours, because that also is an inclusive element, just like you have your discoveries and your vitalities and, your points and rewards. I think what we are able to do is actually make it tangible and say, listen, I'm saving you 10 Rand off 2-liter milk, rather than saying earn your points and get your 10th purchase, you get a 10 Rand off, So we're very focused on creating tangible discounts, tangible savings. And it boils down to also what Lee was saying about education and financial inclusion. That's the impact we're going to make on a larger scale, not just in the agri sector, more on, on a national level, where we're able to make a bigger impact on financial education and spending and how people plan and budget, So because it's an important thing to also mention, sorry, while I'm at it, is that this is a prepaid mechanism. So, you can't run your debit orders and you can't purchase on credit with a card like this, which is a big thing. I think what happens in our economy is that a lot of the lower LSM consumers live a life that's out of reach sometimes, where you want to get the nicest things and sometimes you buy that on credit and you buy it on a payment plan and not realizing that you're paying 10 times more than you're actually paying for the product if you pay now. You want to have the nice things, but you also have to realize the consequences of not being able to budget correctly. And that's something that we want to create an impact on in the country as a whole. And no better place to work with in regards to farm workers.
Wow, Veenash, it's absolutely amazing what you've been able to achieve with your product, and of course the endless possibilities that come with that. Leandri, for someone who is still not convinced of why they need a PayCentral in their life, where do they find you and who do they call?
Our sales team, really important that they'll make sure they understand these businesses' unique needs. Like we say, it's not for us just putting something forward. It's really understanding the need and saying, look, this would be the exact solution for you. So they can get hold of our team. I'm going to give the telephone number. It is 010-012-6676. An email address would be connect@paycentral.co.za. So just that again, it's connect, CONNECT @paycentral.co.za. And of course, our website, if they want to have a peek there, we've got a lot of information on there already, www.paycentral.co.za.
That was, of course, Veenash Parbhoo, co-founder of PayCentral and Marketing Manager, Leandri Matthews. You can, of course, read more on this topic by visiting www.foodformzansi.co.za. And that's a wrap. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss any of the episodes. From me, Duncan Masiwa, our technical producer, Megan van der Vent, and the rest of #Team Food for Mzansi. Thanks for listening.